Cool. Let me see now. Gonna set up the Instagram live as well. Hi. Sorry it's late. I was trying to get it to work and it wasn't working, so I just had some technical problems, but we are up. Sorry, I'm gonna try to start an Instagram live as well to see if we can do both at the same time. But if you guys want to, you can kind of start asking questions already in the chat box and I will answer them pretty soon. Let me just try to get this Instagram live up. I love how I don't know how to start an Instagram live. Give me 1 second. Oh, there we go. Hey. Have you had any study abroad experience at Northeastern? And if so, how is your experience? I'm actually only a freshman at Northeastern, so I haven't had any study abroad experience, but I know a lot of students who did NUN because our schools, they have, if you guys don't know what NUN, it's basically a program where when you first get into Northeastern, sorry. When you first get into Northeastern, you basically, your first semester, you'll study abroad. This semester, because they had COVID, obviously, they gave them the option of doing study abroad in Boston. And so they had an NU in Boston location, but there's different locations like London and Ireland and things like that. And I think the Ireland location actually still had it this semester or last semester. And so I do know a lot of kids who did do that. And it's a really cool experience because you obviously get to live abroad for a semester. And I haven't heard any bad things about the study abroad experience at Northeastern yet, but I'm actually planning on studying abroad, possibly in Korea. So we'll see how that goes. If it happens, I'll probably do it next semester, or not next semester, sorry, the summer semester of my sophomore year. But yeah, hi. If you guys want, you guys can ask questions in the chat box, and that's how I'll be kind of doing this live. I've never done a live before, so we'll see how it goes. My major, sorry. I'm a first year at Northeastern University, and I'm majoring in business administration and design. I'm currently home right now, but I did live on campus last semester, so I do have that experience if you guys want to ask questions. And I'm doing this on Instagram Live as well. Hi, everybody. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, just ask in the chat box and I will answer them. This was a time that everyone chose, so hopefully we get a good amount of questions. Is that a combined? It's a combined major. So it was already one of the combined majors that were available. I am possibly thinking of changing it. But for now, we're keeping it at business administration and design. If I change it, I'm thinking either just going straight only business or maybe changing the design portion of my major. But yeah, it's really easy to do it's not easy to do a combined major, but it's easy to apply for a combined major. I actually changed my major as soon as I got accepted into Northeastern. So, and they just approved it right away and I didn't really have to like go through any hurdles or anything like that. I literally just changed it on the, what's it called? The like page you go to, the website you're given when you get into Northeastern. You can change your major through that and it's really easy. Oh, hi. Hi, Daphne. How hard has it been to be social on campus during your first year? I was on campus last semester. It was a little hard, honestly, just because obviously everything's a little more strict in terms of quarantining and just social distancing in general. But at the same time, because especially when you're first coming into Northeastern, they have all these group chats for freshmen. Some freshmen make their own group chats and everything like that. And literally, we had one for like all of the freshmen. We had one for like the whole school. We had one for like our building, like East Village is where I lived last semester. And then we had one for our floor, and they were on GroupMe or Discord. And so it was a lot, but because of that, a lot of kids in the beginning, especially, will be like, hey, everyone, do you guys want to eat lunch together? And so we kind of like, we would all come down at the same time to the first floor to like kind of meet up and eat lunch together. And we did sometimes get in trouble because we weren't dispersing quickly enough. But yeah, because of that, you meet a lot of people through the chats, and then you'll actually meet them in person on campus. And I actually met a lot of people through my roommate as well. So if you have a roommate and you end up getting along with them, a lot of the times, if they know people, they'll, you guys will hang out together and stuff too. But yeah, so it wasn't too bad. And then what colleges other than Northeastern did you get into, and why did you pick Northeastern? I'm not going to go through the whole list of colleges that I got into because I did apply to like 17 colleges. If you want to check out my recorded Q&A from a little bit ago, I have all of the colleges I applied to, what I got rejected to, waitlisted, and accepted to there. But in terms of some of the colleges that I did get into, I got into like Boston University, a lot of Florida schools and stuff. And I chose Northeastern, one, because they gave me enough financial aid, but two, it was out of state, and that was really important to me because I didn't want to attend a Florida school and stay in Florida. But yeah, so it was really just, or like the main reasons were it was in Florida, and it was, or I got enough financial aid. But Kayla, sorry if I'm not pronouncing your names correctly, did you participate in any honors events? I did, especially towards the beginning. Some of them were fun. Others were like, okay. Some of them were actually required in the beginning, and it was a little annoying just because you're, I don't know, maybe it was just for me and my schedule, but it was like really annoying to have to spend this time like doing these honors events when I had so much other stuff to do, especially because college, like freshman year, you think, like syllabus week or whatever, but they really go straight into it. And so I was really like stressed out in the beginning because I didn't realize they would just go straight into all of the work, and there was a lot of work. So but other than that, the honors events were fine. There wasn't actually too much. If anything, you'll just have a lot of your LLC events. If you guys don't know what LLCs are, they're basically like little groups that they group you into based off like your interests. So I was in the foodies one. So we did a lot of events through that, and they were actually really fun. There were some like, we did like foods all around the world, and they sent us little like bags of like different international foods and stuff. So that was really cool. And then how's the Boston weather during the various seasons, warmer or colder than expected? Honestly, I'm really sad because I was only able to stay last semester, and then this semester I decided to stay home in Florida, which sucks because I hate the heat. But it definitely got really cold, and sometimes it was like no matter how much layers you put on, it felt like the cold was still somehow getting in. But I personally love the cold, so it was never like insanely cold to me. I remember I did make the mistake of running in like 18-degree weather with like shorts on once though. So that was an interesting experience. I remember my legs got so cold. I was showering, and like the hot water would not do anything, and my legs were like emitting like coldness, if that makes sense. And it was kind of scary. I wasn't sure what to do. But other than that, I don't think it's too bad, especially if you're used to cold weather already. But I don't know. I mean, I'm from Florida, and I didn't find it too hard. You definitely do have to get cold weather like clothes though. I definitely had to buy a whole closet because I didn't have anything living in Florida. Um, any thoughts about NU Immerse? I actually don't know too much about NU Immerse just because I'm not doing it. So I really don't know anything about NU Immerse. But I'm sure there's a lot of information online, and if there's not, I will actually send you guys to our Northeastern Reddit. It's where I found like all of my information when I was coming into Northeastern, and it's really nice because obviously you can like ask questions in the page, and there's a mega thread for incoming students if you guys want to ask questions there. A lot of the older students will go through it and like answer questions, and I do the same. So definitely check out the Reddit for Northeastern. And then, were you housed in the honors dorms? If so, how were they? It's a substantial step up from the regular dorm. So I've never actually lived in a regular dorm, so I can't say too much about whether it's a step up or not. But I lived in East Village, which is the honors dorm that you're required to live in just your first year. And then after that, you don't get any like guaranteed dorm living. But East Village is really nice. The building itself is really cool. If you guys have seen from my vlogs, we have like the elevators that are like touchscreen, and it's pretty cool. But the dorms, East Village and International Village are the only two dorms that have private bathrooms for like I think the doubles and stuff as well outside of the apartment style housing. So I did have a private bathroom, which was really nice. You have a bathroom in the middle, and then you have two dorms connected through the bathroom. So I shared it with three other kids, my roommate and my two suite mates. And so sometimes we would get locked out because there's two doors on both sides, and then you forget to unlock the other door as you leave to go back to your dorm. The other people get locked out. But other than that, the private bathroom was nice because I didn't have to deal with communal bathrooms and everything like that. So that was definitely nice. The dorms itself, I think, are slightly small. I can't say if it's smaller than the other dorms, but I've heard that East Village dorms or the doubles can be kind of small compared to some of the other dorms. So, but it was nice. And because you're in the honors housing with all the other honors kids and like you guys do the programs together, you guys take the same first year honors class and stuff like that. So it's a bit easier, I guess, to make friends just because you're already put into this group that you're told like, this is your group, do things together and all that stuff. So. Did you join any clubs? Also, do you know of any Christian fellowships on campus? I didn't research too much about the Christian fellowships because I was everything was digital anyway, so there weren't a lot of churches and gatherings happening. So I just decided to watch my home church's live recordings and stuff. But I don't think. Honestly, I can't say too much about it. I think we may have a Christian fellowship. I know there's one that like connects a lot of different colleges, like Tufts, Boston University, and Northeastern, and things like that. And they have like, chapters on campus, on the different campuses, kind of. So definitely look into that. If I can give you more information, I will find it and let you guys know. In terms of clubs, sadly, I was really busy with YouTube, my business, and everything else, so I didn't get involved in too many clubs, but the clubs I did get involved were WISE, which is the Women's Interdisciplinary Society of Entrepreneurs, and that was really cool. If you guys are interested in entrepreneurship or business or anything like that, you don't even have to be female, even though it is focused towards females. It's a really great club, and they have really awesome events, and I definitely recommend it if you're interested in entrepreneurship and things like that. And then I also joined CASA, which is the Korean American Student Association. They do a lot of cool stuff as well. We have KATA, which is the Korean American Dance Association. So they do like covers, and you don't have to necessarily be good at dancing to join it. So if you're interested in K-pop as well, that's a really cool club to join. And then, have you already started planning for co-ops or internships? If so, then Do you do that yourself, or do you have an advisor that walks you through it? So internships wise, I was actually planning on applying to some summer internships, but I started applying really late. So I was like, maybe not. And also I'm just really busy with my YouTube and business already. So if anything, I can always just focus on these, and they do pretty well on resumes, so I'm not too worried about not finding a summer internship this summer. But I will say for internship stuff, you do mostly do it on your own. There's like a careers part of the Northeastern website that has offers up there to kind of help you find more internships. Co-op wise, I haven't started planning for it yet, but I will next semester. You take a co-op class before you actually go on your co-op, and during that co-op class, you'll talk to an advisor. You'll be told you'll learn how to like set up your resume and things like that, and they'll guide you a little more. And you'll be assigned to a co-op advisor who helps you find more opportunities and jobs and things like that. I was kind of planning on looking into it during the summer though, because I'm possibly thinking of doing a co-op abroad if I can find one in Korea. And so that's a little different, and that's a lot more on your own as well in terms of searching for co-ops. And so I'm gonna have to definitely plan a little bit on my own outside of the co-op class. So I am thinking of looking into it more during the summer. Sorry it's taking me so long. I'm talking so much for each question. And then, do you recommend looking for a roommate online or going random? Also, if you choose, do you choose your suite mates? So you can choose your suite mates, but my roommate and I decided to go random because we didn't really know anyone else. But you can definitely choose your suite mates. I think that comes later on after you choose your roommate. But in terms of roommates, I honestly can't say. I think it's the same either way, because even if you meet someone online, ultimately, unless you like really like FaceTime all the time or something, you're not going to actually get to know them enough. And there's a difference between liking someone and being able to live with them, because living habits can be really different. So I will say, if you do find someone online, definitely talk about your living habits and really think about what your living habits are, because it is going to be different. Even if you like the person, you might hate living with them. So in the end, I feel like it's still random in a sense, even if you do meet someone online. So I can't recommend one over the other, but I will say I wouldn't be too worried about going random, because a lot of people go random, and a lot of people actually find really good people by going random. But if you're worried about like socially compatibility, definitely look into the Facebook groups. I'm sure they made one for this year as well. And then kind of talk to them on Instagram, make a post on Facebook if you'd like about yourself, to see if anyone wants to reach out to you. Yeah. And then, is there a good music community? I'm honestly not too sure. I didn't really join any music communities. There's not one that I can think of that's like super popular on campus or anything, but there is a club. I think it's called like Taste Made or something. But I know that's a music club, and my friend is in it and she really likes it. So they're definitely music community. I think there's honestly a community for anything if you look hard enough. Yeah, I'm not too sure what you mean by a good music community. So if you want to elaborate on that, I can definitely answer it better. um, and then, does Northeastern offer summer housing? Also, do they have summer co-ops? I think, well, your co-op will kind of go through summer one anyway. So most students will do a fall or spring semester one. And if you do the spring semester one, you often do it 6 months, which is still a little over what the spring semester usually is, I think. So that's like spring semester and summer one. So some of it does kind of go longer depending on which co-op you find. I don't think there's specifically a summer co-op, just because I think you can find one, but just because summer is kind of shorter, I guess, in length, I don't know. I've never heard of any students doing a summer co-op. Most students do either fall or spring, and then the previous semester you'll take like your co-op class. Um, do they offer summer housing? They do offer summer housing if you take summer classes, I think, but it's a lot less guaranteed than like fall and spring housing. Do you know anything about living at Lakeview? I may be doing an exchange semester at Northeastern and would like to know if anyone can apply to live there, even if it's only for a few months. I don't know too much about Lakeview, to be honest. I have read a lot about them, including how everyone was really annoyed because a lot of the amenities weren't open this semester and last because of COVID, but that's like what you're essentially paying for. I heard it's a really nice place to live just because they are considered still off-campus housing, I think. If anything, you can look into like subleasing or like subletting, I think it is. Some people like will have their contract with like you already, but then like decide to leave early or stay home a certain semester. So there's a lot of people that I know who have been like kind of subletting it on some of the social medias and stuff for Northeastern. If you guys are interested, there's an app called Social Call that a Northeastern student made. They actually did it from their Instagram. It's NEU. Here, I'll type it in. NEU_gigs, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the Instagram for them. But there, people will like put out like things that they're selling, things that they're giving out for free if they're like moving out or something. And you can find information about different Lakeview houses or like spaces that people are kind of selling or like subletting, you know what I mean? So that can also be a good place to look if you're looking for somewhat cheaper Lakeview space if someone is like leaving and stuff, because they'll often pay for like a little bit of the monthly lease or something just because, you know, otherwise they'll have to pay the whole price even though they're not living there anymore. And then what do you think about the level of the classes and professors? I've personally liked most of my professors this far. I think some of the design professors, it can be a little more iffy if you're in design or art. But in terms of my business professors, I've pretty much liked all of them. If you're doing international business, Professor De Los Reyes is really good. I really liked his class, and it was super fun. So, but yeah, all my professors till now have been really good. I haven't been able to like get close to them a little, like on a social level, just because unless you go to their office hours, because it's not in person, or you could go in person, but I'm off campus right now, so I haven't been able to connect to them in that way, but all of them have been really chill. And then if you're doing a co-op outside Boston, do you still have to pay for Northeastern housing? So when you go on co-op, you're not guaranteed any housing or and you don't pay for tuition like at all. You're basically just not in school for that semester. So you can apply for housing if you do find a Boston co-op, but if you're outside of Boston or if you find a co-op outside of Boston, you just don't apply for housing. And some companies will actually provide like a stipend for housing specifically if it's out of state, or they'll give you specific housing. But I think a lot of them they won't give you housing. So you will definitely have to figure that out on your own if you do accept a co-op outside of Boston. And then, sorry, okay. Have you had to develop any new study skills at Northeastern? So I was actually a really bad student in high school. So I like didn't really have any studying habits or skills. So I definitely developed a lot coming into college. So, but also I guess, Alex, anyway, sorry, I'm looking at my Instagram live as well. But I will say, you know, if you weren't a great student in high school, college is definitely a place to step up because you're definitely going to need those study skills. I used Google Calendar to schedule out literally every hour and every assignment because I was just so busy with school, with YouTube, with work, everything like that. So I definitely learned to time manage better. And yeah, I don't know about everyone else, but I know the people that I knew, everyone was like, constantly studying and working. Just because, especially in the beginning, getting used to college is definitely a whole transition. And so some of you guys will, or a lot of you guys, just as I did, will probably struggle in this beginning of the semester, but you do get used to it. I won't say you learn how to do the bare minimum, but you will figure out essentially the bare minimum you need to do. So yeah, and then are you planning on going on a dialogue of civilization? No, I'm not, just because that's not necessarily covered by your financial aid. So that is out of pocket and you are paying for like, I think it's like a class specifically or something, like the cost of it. So I'm not going on a dialogue of civilization, but I will mention if you do get into the honors program, the fee for it, which is outside of the actual pay, like how much you have to pay to go on it, that gets waived. So if you're interested and you get into the honors program, I would definitely look into it. And then prospective and new student worried about making friends. Honestly, don't worry too much. I'm sure everyone says this, and if you haven't already heard it, you will in the future again. But everyone in the beginning is pretty much desperate to make friends, just as you are. And I was as well. And so everyone's super open to meeting new people, talking on social media and all that stuff. And you will very quickly get to know like your roommate or your suite mates or anyone else on your floor. Honestly, it's really hard not to meet people just because everyone's like, I need to find friends in the beginning of the semester. So you join all the group chats and things like that. And then you'll actually also meet people through your classes, through group projects and things like that. So don't worry too much. You will definitely make friends. If anything, if you're really worried, join a lot of clubs in the beginning, even if you don't really stay in them, because a lot of them don't have like dues or anything like that. And so just join all the information meetings, all the like new people meetings and stuff like that. And you'll meet a lot of people through clubs as well. I met the people that I like the most at Northeastern right now through clubs. So definitely look into that. And then, sorry, just also looking at my Instagram. And then, but yeah. Anyone else have questions? I think I answered all of the ones that we have right now. I can just talk about my experience if you guys don't have any other questions, or I can answer some general questions that I'm sure you guys may have, or just, yeah. If you guys have any questions. If you don't, I will just talk, I guess, about what dining plans do you recommend? I would definitely go with the 12 meal plan in the beginning, which is the lowest that you're allowed to get as a freshman, because you can always go up during the semester if you decide that this isn't enough. I definitely need more than 12 meals in a week. But you can always go up, and you'll only be charged for the 12 meal for like however long you did it. And then after that, you'll get charged for whichever one you upgrade to. But I've never met anyone who really uses anything other than the 12 meal plan. I personally barely use my 12 meal plan or all my 12 meal swipes, especially because we do have buffet style, dining halls as well, or even like outtakes and stuff, which is like a grocery style meal or dining hall as well. So you kind of just like grab as many as you want, and then you can take it with you, especially during COVID, because they made us pack everything and take it back to our dorms. But I don't know about this year how that'll work, just because they are doing in person fully. And with all the vaccinations coming out, I think they might be a lot less strict on like distancing and everything like that. But I mean, outside of COVID, everyone also just kind of stole food from the dining hall. As long as you don't get caught, nobody cares. So everyone kind of does that as well. I wouldn't be too worried and just go with the 12 meal plan in the beginning. And then if you're like, yeah, I can't, I need more meals, you can always upgrade later. And then, do you have classes every day during the week? So your first semester of your first year, you won't choose your classes. Your advisor or your advisor will choose it for you, and you'll just like have an advisor meeting and talk about it if there's something that you're like, no, I'm not taking this class, or I need a different time, anything like that. But my first semester, I did have classes every day. But then this semester, I only have classes, or the only day that I don't have classes is Wednesday. So I have classes Monday, Tuesday, and then Thursday, Friday. So after your first semester, it really depends. Even your first semester, some kids didn't have classes every day. So it really just depends. And then after that, you can kind of choose the times that your classes are in and try to optimize it when you're applying for classes. Anything you don't like about Northeastern or the Boston area? So if you guys don't already know, I'm a first-gen low-income kid. So this isn't any college, but dealing with the financial side of college sucks, especially if you are the one dealing with it and not necessarily your parents, because mine can't really speak English and they don't know too much about all of that. And I've heard this from multiple kids. So if you ever have to deal with the financial aid office and things like that, it's really stressful. It's really annoying. They're kind of like cheapskates, if that makes sense. And even the kids who can't afford Northeastern, we all joke about how, this is a private college, so it is still a business. So they're not just going to like give out money and stuff. But yeah, so if there's one thing I hate the most about Northeastern is just the financial aid office and like administrative side of Northeastern. But if you can afford Northeastern, honestly, you're not gonna have to deal with them that much. And then, do you know how long before co-ops start do students start worrying about applying? I like to know how much co-op plays a role in student life during usual semesters. So, as a first year, I haven't like had too many times where friends disappeared or something because they went on co-op. But I do have some older friends as well who are on co-op right now or will be next semester and stuff. But especially in this digital age, you'll keep up with them through social media and texting and stuff. And a lot of them often do Boston co-op, so they're not actually leaving the area. But everyone starts, so pretty much everyone, I think like 99% of the students will do their first co-op second semester of your sophomore year. And you'll take the co-op class, which is required if you want to go on a co-op, your first semester of your second year. So I'll be taking my first co-op class next semester in the fall and then going on co-op in the spring. So honestly, but there's not too much you can prepare for that beforehand because that whole like application process and stuff, often you're not eligible to actually apply for anything until you're in your sophomore year. And so, you'll be advised or you'll be assigned a co-op advisor and you'll take the co-op class. So you'll have that professor as well to talk about resumes, applications, anything you're worried about. And you'll meet with your advisor as often as you want to and need to talk about all of that. So everyone says you have time. I'm like, but I'm literally starting to apply next semester. But seeing as how they say that, you really don't need to worry about it before that semester you take the co-op class. And then in your videos, you said you're doing business and design. How's your design coursework? Could you give some insight into what those classes are like? Okay, so the course load itself isn't actually too heavy. I'm guilty of often just taking or doing the homework for the class either the day of or before, just because it doesn't feel like the most important, especially because I'm majoring in business and design, so I have all my business classes as well. But I will say all the design classes are very long. So instead of meeting twice in a week like most classes and splitting it up, all my design classes so far have been in one sitting. So it's like my class right now for design is from 1 or 8 a.m. to 11:30, whereas my other classes are broken up from 8 to like 9:40 and then 9:40 to 11:30. So, that's something you definitely have to be prepared for because they are studio classes. So you're going to like either be working. A lot of it has just been critiquing in class. Okay, so let me put it like this. All the design classes I've taken so far are project based. And so you'll like either work on a project for a whole semester or 2 in a semester. And so during that time, you're just working on this project. And then every class, you really just get critiqued. And then some professors will have it be a more guided experience and like have assignments that are just you working on your project, like specific parts of your design project. So they're all project based. I think with the nature of design, that's just kind of how you have to teach a design class because you'll only learn by actually doing it. So I haven't had a lot of professors design wise that do really lecture type classes. So, but the course load isn't too heavy. It really just depends on how familiar you are with design and the programs that they use and how much time you want to invest into it, because obviously the less time you spend on it, the less, it'll look good, less grammar English, but you know what I mean. So yeah. And then how early/late can classes go? So I've had everything from right now, all of my classes are morning classes. So I have classes every day other than Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 11:30. Some of them are studio classes, so they go on for literally that whole time, or other classes have 2 classes in that time. But I've also had a design class last semester that went from, I think it was 6 to 9:30. So sometimes those can be a little rough because obviously kind of goes late and you also just have other work to do. So, but I also couldn't choose what time I had that class because the professor offering it only met at that time. So you're definitely I don't think it ever goes past 10 though. So, but you definitely can have early and late classes. Does the campus feel safe? Yes, surprisingly, it's actually like smack dab in the middle of Boston as a city. So as soon as you go outside of the camp, which the campus itself is kind of like split out amongst Boston itself. So they're not necessarily all together. So sometimes you do have to do a lot of walking to get to certain classes, which sucks if you only have 5 minutes in between each class, like I did last semester. But overall, the campus never felt like unsafe to me. There's always students outside sitting around and things like that. So you're never like alone on campus. I will say I had one incident though outside of campus, I guess, just in Boston. I run at the Fenway Park, which is really close to like East Village and the Northeastern campus in general. And I run at like early in the morning. So I went at like 5 a.m. and there was a guy who like ran at me once and it was really scary. I didn't have like pepper spray on me or anything, which by the way, if you want pepper spray, definitely buy it beforehand on Amazon outside of Boston if you live outside of Boston, because you're technically not allowed to ship pepper spray into Boston for whatever reason, so you can't buy it on Amazon or anything, just to let you know. But yeah, other than that incident, I've never had anything happen and I've never felt unsafe walking around. And then would you still have time to travel while studying, like on the weekends, or do you think that's too stressful? I don't recommend like traveling too far on the weekends. I do know people who have just like traveled around Boston, some kids, because you weren't allowed to like share or like go into each other's dorms if you didn't live in the same building. Some kids would rent Airbnbs in Boston and like live together just for like the weekend and like walk around and do fun stuff or whatever. But I don't recommend traveling too far when you're on the weekends, but you definitely can make plans, go to like Newbury Street and everything like that. Yeah. And it's not too stressful. It really just depends on your time management. If you're not wasting time like sometimes I did just like on Instagram or TikTok or whatever all day. Definitely plan out your days. There's a lot of kids in college that I've met that didn't plan out their days, and some kids were like, they didn't even know when exams were. And it's, definitely stay on top of things so that you're not stressed out when you do go out and have fun. But there's definitely time to go out and have fun. Just not traveling too far. Like, I wouldn't travel outside of Boston unless you have a car, which if you go apple picking, that I did on one of my weekends, and that's really fun. That's something that everyone does at Northeastern and Boston pretty much, or even just Massachusetts, because it's like the thing to do in the fall. And then, is the honors workload manageable? I still kind of hate. I honestly don't love the honors program itself, just for me, just because you are required to take a certain amount of honors classes throughout your 4 years, but they only offer so many honors classes and offerings. So for design students, it sucks because there are no design honors classes. And then for business, you only have a few. So if you don't get into that honors class for that semester, like I didn't get into the intro to marketing honors class this semester because it was already full by the time I was allowed to apply. So in that sense, I kind of hated it, and I'm honestly not going to try too hard to get the honors credits, because as long as I have like a good academic standing, they actually don't care if you don't get all the honors classes in. You just won't graduate with honors then, which doesn't matter too much because, there's a lot of kids who aren't even in the honors programs. But at least first year, it was really hard. They try to make me take 6 courses. And even though 2 of them were just 1 credit classes, especially when you're transitioning in, it's really hard to balance all 6 classes. So I personally thought it was really hard my first semester. They made you take the honors inquiry class, which isn't required, but it's just to get your honors credits early on. You take like the freshman honors class, and the freshman honors class sucks. It's the most boring and useless class ever, but you do have to take it if you're in honors. And honestly, it's like not that bad, I guess, for the scholarship you get and everything. But yeah, I wouldn't stress too much about it if you get into the honors program and like you can't get all your honors credits unless you really want to graduate with honors for whatever reason. So it's not too stressful if you think about it in that sense, but I was really stressed out for a semester because I dropped my honors inquiry and only had like 14 or 16 credits or something, and that stressed me out, but I'm okay and I'll live, so it's okay. Do people usually get their top choice LLC? I haven't met anyone who didn't get their LLC, but it is different outside of honors because we have specific LLCs for honors, and because it's only in the honors program, there's obviously not a lot of kids applying all to the same one. But most people do get their top choice of LLC, and then outside of the honors program, some like fusion and like things like that can fill up kind of quickly. So it really depends on how much housing is available for the fusion LLC kids and stuff like that, because you get put into your dorms randomly, or not randomly, but based on your LLCs and what LLC is in that specific building. So yeah. Did you apply early decision, early action, or regular? I applied regular decision, and yeah. And then, are groceries in Boston more expensive compared to the other cities in the US? Or Boston is supposed to be pretty expensive? It was definitely a little more expensive compared to Florida, but I actually did a lot of and you don't really do a lot of grocery shopping first year because all the freshman housings are required to have a meal plan, so you don't do too much grocery shopping. But yeah, it wasn't actually that bad compared to Florida, which is considered less expensive than Boston. The groceries were a little more pricey, especially if you go somewhere like Symphony Mart, which is really close to the Boston campus, but it's a smaller like corner store kind of thing, so it was a little more expensive sometimes with certain items. But overall, it wasn't too bad, and a lot of kids will actually do like Amazon shopping, like Whole Foods and things like that. And since those are kind of universally priced, it's really not that bad. And then, was it simple to find a community within East Village? I personally had a hard time finding a community within East Village. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm an extroverted introvert, but I didn't really click, or I didn't find the opportunity to hang out with a lot of the kids on my floor. So I actually ended up not really meeting anyone on my floor, and I just knew my roommate and my suite mates. But I did meet a lot of people outside of my floor, so I didn't worry too much. I wasn't, yeah. So, but it is simple, I guess, in a sense, to find a community within East Village because you're already grouped together by LLC. You'll do the LLC activities together. You'll do like floor events, and you'll have a floor group chat. And a lot of the kids on the floor will like eat together and stuff like that. Especially in the beginning, they'll just like text in the group chat like, "Let's eat," and everyone will be like, "Yeah, I'm up. I'm down for lunch or whatever." So it is easy to find a community, but if you don't end up clicking with the kids in your community, you will definitely have to find that elsewhere, just because you are grouped by the LLC. So if you decide on foodies, but then you get together and the kids who chose foodies are like not a personality you like, or you don't end up clicking with them. That's what I mean by that. But oh, thank you, Josh. And then, do you believe Northeastern is worth the price? Not the full price. Never. I'm pretty sure the full price is literally like $75,000 a year. So if you didn't get any like scholarships or aid, I no, definitely not worth it, especially if you got into a different school, whether it's in-state or another even really good school. And I mean, honestly, all the schools are pretty good. There's not like a super bad school, but yeah, never worth it. Honestly, I don't think any college is worth full price unless it's a really, really cheap college. So if you didn't get any aid, please don't choose Northeastern unless you can afford it. Yeah, I would not pay full price for Northeastern, or any school for that matter. So, but I will say if you guys are looking into like you did get some financial aid, but it's not quite enough, I would definitely go through the appeals process. I don't know if you guys knew this existed or not, but there is something called the appeals process, and that is basically where you just appeal for more aid. All you have to do is email your financial aid office. If you have a financial aid advisor, definitely contact them and just try to stick with one person that you get emailed back from the financial aid office. You can just explain your situation and say, I want to appeal for more aid. Can you help me? Blah, blah. And they'll kind of like go back and forth about like changes in circumstances, with COVID, did you get less business with your like mom's store, things like that. And I personally did that and got 10K more in aid. They found some federal grants for me. So definitely do that if you need more money for college. Paula asked, do you know anything about when universities want to go back to normal studying? So actually, we, Northeastern sent out an email to all their students saying that we are going to go fully in person next semester, and a lot of the regulations and like rules that they put down for COVID are going to be gone next semester. So, I mean, you are doing, if they are trying to do in fully in person, obviously there's things like social distancing that you can't really do when you have that many students on campus. So they are actually going in person next semester. So, I mean, that's good though for all the incoming students so that you get somewhat more of a normal experience. I definitely think unless everyone gets vaccinated, we probably will still wear masks. Depending on how it goes, but they are probably going to try to vaccinate us after like those, because we did it in like levels, or yeah, so soon they'll probably try to vaccinate us. And some kids, depending on conditions, have already got vaccinated through Northeastern. So, and then are the rooms, oh wait, no, sorry, next question is, yeah. Are the rooms in East Village actually warm during the winter? I'm from the South. I'm from Florida, but I do like the cold I hate living in Florida because of the heat, so can't relate to liking warmth. But at least in East Village, we had like an AC system. So it wasn't like because most of the dorms, especially the older ones, will actually just like have a heater. Like, if you guys know what I'm talking about, like the heater that you can actually see in the, like as a box kind of thing. But we had AC, and we could somewhat control the temperature. The highest it went was like 74 and the lowest was 68. I personally, there was something wrong with my AC though, because it was really cold in my dorm for like the month of December, maybe just because I was living alone at the time because my roommate went home early. I don't know if it was like the lack of body warmth. I have no idea. But it was way colder than my suite mate's room. So, but it never gets like as cold as it is outside. And then I know a lot of friends who lived in other buildings that did have the actual like heater box thing. And they were totally fine. As long as your heater doesn't break down, you will totally be fine. And yeah, if anything, they complain that it gets too hot sometimes. But yeah, oh my God. One thing I will say about East Village, and I think it might just be East Village and maybe International Village, but our windows don't open and ventilation kind of sucks. So, the one good thing about the other older dorms is that you can open the windows, especially when it's not too cold. Oh my God, the fresh air is so nice, but East Village kids cannot open their windows. So, and the ventilation, yeah, it's not great, especially because you have a private bathroom, by the way. So, all of that is connected. So, oftentimes you will smell whatever's going on in your bathroom, which is not great because it's literally right next to your room. And then, do you think Northeastern is a good university for international students? There are a lot of international students at Northeastern. One, because I think they accept a lot of kids because, often international students don't get as much financial aid, if any. So a lot of them pay full price, which is crazy, especially because during the pandemic, a lot of them stayed wherever they were from. So there was like really off times as well, asynchronous. But I think it's a good university for international students in that you will find a lot of other international students. So you won't have to worry too much about not finding a community. I think a lot of the international students kind of group together, especially in the beginning, just because you have very similar experiences. But I also knew a lot of international students that were on campus and made a lot of friends with them. So in the social aspect, it's totally fine. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think in terms of classes and everything like that, it's the same whether you're international or not. But yeah. And then, are you happy with your choice to go to Northeastern? I am. I definitely, especially considering the other options I had, the ones that I could afford were all in Florida, just because even I can't even really pay for 50% of a tuition, just because I am low income. So a lot of the colleges that I got into only covered like 50%, which I say only, which it's still a lot, but it wasn't enough for me. So the only other options I had were Florida schools. I don't really like living in Florida. I don't like the heat. I don't really like beaches. Everything about Florida is just not working with me. So, or we're just not compatible. So I definitely am happy with my choice to go to Northeastern. Boston is a really great city. I'm so excited for you guys to go to Boston if you guys got in. It's a really great city, and Massachusetts in general is really nice. So, and then, did you ever use a tunnel system? No! Oh my gosh! I asked my friend once because she mentioned it, and I was like, how do you even get into the tunnel system? Like, I've heard about it. I really want to see it. I mean, she said it's really cool. It's really nice because obviously you have like the classroom spaces and like space in general in the tunnels to like kind of hang out and chill and get away from the cold outside, especially when it's snowing and things like that. And you don't want to have to deal with the snow on the floor and slipping everywhere. But no, I've not been able to use this tunnel system. I really want to, and I definitely will when I get back on semester. Do you prefer Boston or New York to a university experience? I've only been to New York once, and it was when I was when I was like 10 or something. So, and I don't know anything about the university experience in New York. I do know NYU, if that's what you're specifically asking about. I know some students there, and they were definitely struggling during the pandemic. I heard their food sucked, financial aid sucked. So in that sense, if that's important to you, I will say New York as a city is really cool, but it's definitely smaller in terms of everything compared to Boston as well, because Boston is like half city, half not city. Or like Boston itself is actually really small. So very quickly you will find that you actually come out of the Boston area. Like, so if you try to visit MIT or Harvard, you're no longer actually in Boston. And so yeah, Boston is really small, so you do experience all the other cities that aren't as city-like. So like the Harvard area and the Tufts area, they're a little more suburban. But I mean, I really like Massachusetts. It's a very college towny place, just because we have so much colleges in Boston and in Massachusetts, like Harvard, MIT, Northeastern, Tufts, and everything like that. So it's definitely nice, and there's a lot of stuff to do. Thank you. I like the Michael Scott name. That's very funny. um, and then I don't want to apply for Florida because I want to see snow. My country doesn't have. Yeah, same. I really wanted to get out of Florida, so I did have safeties in Florida just because we have this program called Bright Futures where they basically cover your whole tuition if you get a certain like SAT score and GPA. So I did apply to Florida schools just in case. I applied to 17 schools, and most of them were out of state because I also like snow and wanted to see snow. Which, by the way, snow is so amazing. I hope you come to Boston because snow is actually, sadly though, Boston actually doesn't snow that much compared to the other northern cities because we're a coastal city, and that affects like how cold it actually gets. Like this being close to the sea actually kind of regulates the cold. So it actually doesn't get that cold in Boston. And so it doesn't snow that often, but I was blessed this year because it randomly snowed in October when it never usually does. And it blizzard, but it was when I was home in Florida, so that sucks. I didn't get to see it. But snow is really pretty, and when it covers everything, I don't know if you guys have seen my Instagram pictures of when it snowed. It is so pretty. um, but I will say have to be careful because I have slipped before on snow and it sucks. Um, please get snowshoes. And then what things are you most happy / excited about in Northeastern? Like anything from small to big things. I'm trying to get hyped to go to this school. Yeah. One of the best things about Northeastern, I think just for me, is that it's in Boston. So it's really nice. Everything is really close. We have an H-Mart if you're Asian and you like Asian foods. H-Mart is amazing. And it's like a bus ride away. So it's really easy to get places. The subway and the bus system is actually not too bad. It's definitely a little older because it's literally the same subway and bus system they used a long time ago. But overall, the T, it's at first it was kind of hard for me to maneuver. It wasn't as like easy to figure out on your own, even though I'm used to the subway system in Korea. But you'll get used to it really quickly, and public transport is really good. You can walk everywhere pretty much in Boston, like all the grocery stores and even like the pharmacy and stuff. And yeah, I pretty much walked everywhere. I barely use the T, but you get a free Charlie card at Ruggles in like the beginning of the semester for students, which is the card you use and you put money in to use the T and the bus system. So, but everything is really just walkable most of the time, which is one of my favorite things. A lot of the people, obviously Northeastern attracts a certain type of people, and so you'll often meet people that you can very much relate to, and the ideas that happen in Northeastern are really cool. Our clubs are also really cool. So like we have a lot of club offerings. We also have clubs like Wise that allows you to do a lot with like entrepreneurship and things like that. And overall, I feel like Northeastern is a school that promotes like doing things yourself and actually starting early, whether it's like starting a business or working, I don't know, doing something else, but just like taking that initiative. And so they definitely support you in that aspect. The co-op system is really cool. I'm really excited to go on co-op in the spring of next year. It's going to be really exciting, a very cool experience, and everyone that I've talked to has really liked their co-op experience. And it also makes it easier to get a job outside of college because you already have these places that you worked at like legitimately full time. So a lot of them will actually hire you after you get out as well. So, and I know a lot of kids, there's a lot of entrepreneurs on campus, you guys. I've met so many people who have their own business, and yeah, so there's just, it's good people, it's a good location, it's really fun, there's a lot to do, there's a lot to eat. So yeah, I hope that kind of hyped it up. Does your sister like Tufts? She does. She really likes Tufts. But it's a school that really matches her. And in that sense, it also doesn't match me because we kind of wanted opposite things out of a school. So like the class size is a lot smaller in Tufts. I wouldn't say well, it is a bit smaller of a school in that there's just not as many kids there. The campus isn't as big, I think, or definitely not as city-like because Tufts is very much in a suburban area. And so when I visited with my sister, it's very much more like there's houses in the area. A lot of students will actually, when you live on off-campus housing, that'll be the housing you live in, which is like literally a house, and you'll like rent it with like 11 other kids and live in it together. So it's definitely almost the opposite of Northeastern in terms of the vibes, just because Northeastern is right in the city and Tufts is in like the suburban area. The class size is smaller, but it's a really good school if you are thinking of Tufts or you got in already. My sister loves it. There's a lot of good programs. There's a lot of good opportunities. So yeah. And then, was it easy to use the T and navigate around the city? Yes. Well, in the beginning, it was kind of hard for me to grasp for whatever reason. I was just really used to the only other subway system I used, which was the Korean one. And that one's really like streamlined for you, and it's very well organized, but it's also a much newer subway system. Boston subway system is like the same as it's been since a while ago. And so it's very much not as, or it's a lot older, and so it's very loud for a subway system compared to Korea. But yeah, other than that, it was really easy. Honestly, if you just use Google Maps and walk around, I use Google Maps or even the Apple Maps. I will say if you're driving for some reason, Google Maps and Apple Maps acts up a lot just because we have a lot of tunnels and bridges, and so they like go over each other. So since it uses GPS, it's hard for the map to figure out which one you're on. But a lot of you guys aren't actually going to drive, so it's going to be totally fine. But yeah, we walk everywhere. It's really easy to navigate. And even if you get or even if you wander, it's really nice as long as you don't go into like a random alley, you know? Isn't H-Mart far from campus? Not really. You will have to take the bus, definitely. But by bus, it's only like 20 minutes, which I don't think is too bad for a bus that like stops at each stop, obviously. I went to H-Mart all the time. And then I also went with my sister who actually had a car, so it was obviously faster. But H-Mart is so nice. It's in the Harvard area, if you guys know where that is. And that's like, if you ever have any plans in the Harvard area, H-Mart is like right there. So it's really nice. And it's just such good food. I stocked up on snacks from H-Mart all the time. And then any good boba and Asian food near campus. We actually do have quite a bit of Asian options. For one thing, you get dining dollars if you get the 12 meal or 7-15 meal or unlimited plan, which is just like money you can use in like certain all the grocery stores in the area, and then some food options as well. So there's Poke Station, which is if you guys have seen my vlogs, that's one place that I went to all the time when I was craving like Asian and home food. Poke Station is really good. They give you a lot. And it's not actually that expensive. I feel like it's very similar to poke prices even in Florida. So it was like $10.95 for a small bowl, but it was still a lot, and I often split it up into 2 meals. But another place is Bangkok Pinto. It's really good Thai food. Their crispy chicken pad Thai is so good. If you guys have seen that on my vlog as well. But yeah, so boba wise, we have a Kung Fu Tea right there, and then another tea place that I've actually never been to right across the street. So we do have a lot of boba options in general in Boston, I think. And yeah, so but I think the closest one is Kung Fu Tea, which actually I personally don't think it's the best boba ever. But there's also other boba places if you look around that are a little farther, but still in walking distance that are really good. So, how hard is it to make friends? Oh, and there is a Cafe Bene, which is a Korean cafe that I've seen in Korea, which is really cool. But they have things like waffles. They do have boba. I don't know if it's the best boba in the world, but their food is really good. It's really popular because it's also right next to campus. And then how hard is it to make friends at Northeastern? I think with any school, it's kind of very similar, but it's not any harder or easier at Northeastern because you get kind of put into apartments and like your dorms based on the LLC you choose, which is like a theme that kind of connects all of you guys anyway. It's really easy to connect to people. Like I mentioned before, everyone is really desperate to find friends in the beginning of the semester because everyone's worried like that they're not going to find friends being in college and stuff. And so you're definitely going to meet a lot of people. Everyone's really open to meeting and stuff. So it's really not that hard as long as you're willing to put yourself out there and like join clubs and things like that. And then do you feel like you can form close relationships with profs? Not this year just because of the pandemic. So unless you went to their office hours, which I never knew what to go to office hours about, but I do know kids who just went to like get to know the professor and talk. So if you are willing to take that initiative, it's really not that hard, and all of the professors are really open to it, especially because they have office hours set up already. So if no one joins, they're just kind of there alone. So you can definitely form a close relationship with profs. And like, because you're in college and you're older, they do treat you like adults and professionals. And so you're able to definitely like talk to them and make conversation on a much more like closer like professional level as well. So if you ever want to go to them about like anything you're doing outside of college, whether it's a business and things like that, they're totally willing to talk to you about it. And then are there cheap and good restaurants around campus? I don't know if they're necessarily that cheap. I will say, obviously, like I keep mentioning, freshman year, you do have a meal plan. So a lot of the times you're not actually going to go out to eat. But I do know kids who just didn't like the dining hall food, so they went out to eat a lot. I personally would shop at H-Mart, and like I had like an illegal, because you're not allowed to have it in freshman dorms, but like I had a pot, I had a hot plate and stuff, and my sweetmates also had it, so we would like cook inside. I would just like make ramyeon or make like fried rice or anything like that. And so you can find I wouldn't say cheap restaurants because I feel like everything baseline is around $10 in the Boston area for a meal, but yeah, but there are good restaurants. All of the ones in the area are pretty good. I really like Poke Station, like I mentioned. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys I will give you guys 10 more minutes to ask questions if anyone has any, because I I was only planning on doing this for an hour. So if you guys have any more questions, please ask now in the next 10 minutes because I'll be ending the live soon. Thank you so much. I was really worried that no one would ask questions and I would just be in this live alone, like not answering questions. So thank you so much for joining. I'm so sorry it took me long to answer every question. And I'm just like not used to the live stream format, so I will definitely try to get better at it. Congratulations to everyone who got into Northeastern. Yay, I'm definitely going to make Northeastern stickers soon, so if you guys are interested in that, definitely let me know. I think I'll do a giveaway of Northeastern stickers to all the incoming kids that got in. I'm also an RA, so if you guys get me as an RA next semester, definitely hit me up. Oh, of course, you're welcome. I'm so glad you guys joined. I was really worried, like I said, that I would be in this alone. Are you in honors? How's the honors experience? And also, I would love Northeastern stickers. Yay! I am in honors. The honors experience wasn't great for me just because it was stressful because you're required to get a certain amount of honors credits, and you have to get them in the 4 years, but there's actually not a lot of honors class options. And if you're a design student, you don't have any options as an honors student. So that really sucks. But yeah, there's like inquiry classes and things like that. First semester, I will say it was really hard to be in honors because they made you take like 6 classes because you had to take the first year honors class, which is the most boring and useless class ever. But also you had to do an honors inquiry. You don't have to. I actually ended up dropping that class, but the honors inquiry class was just way too much for me with like having 6 classes. So I ended up dropping one of them. Yay! I'm glad you guys are hyped up for the fall now. Definitely trying to keep that hype. I was so anxious to get onto campus my summer year or my summer before I went onto campus. So definitely look forward to it. It's really, really good experience. But yeah, and so I lost my train of thought. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. If anyone else has any more questions, I will stay until 2:20, I think is a good time. Thank you. I got accepted into honors, but I'm so nervous. Honestly, don't worry. If anything, and that was my stomach grumbling. If you guys heard that, I haven't eaten breakfast yet. Wow, it's already 2. But anyway, I wouldn't be nervous. You're not actually required to take honors. So this is the great thing about honors is that it's just a program. And so to keep your scholarship and your honor status, all you have to do is have a certain GPA. But if by the end of your college life, end of the 4 years or 5 years, depending on what you do, you don't have all your honors credits, you just won't graduate with honors on your diploma or whatever. But honestly, no one cares because a lot of kids that go to Northeastern aren't in honors anyway. On the Northeastern honors program isn't like this esteemed program that everyone knows about. So even if you don't get all your credits, honestly, I wouldn't stress about it. If you get into the honors program or like you said, you are in the honors program, I would just take full advantage of the opportunities they offer. Like, go on a dialogue of civilization because you get the fee waived and if you can still afford the actual experience. You'll meet a lot of people through the honors program and you'll get a lot of opportunities through that, meeting people, everything like that. So just take advantage of it. But if there's something you don't want to do that has to do with the honors program, don't do it. Like I'm probably not graduate honors because I'm a business and design student and they don't have any design class offerings for honors. And so I'm just not stressing about like trying to get honors classes in. So I got accepted into honor living in EV. Oh my God, for sure. I don't know where I will be next semester yet as an RA, but please, if you guys, if you're one of the kids I end up getting as an RA, definitely reach out to me. I'm so excited to meet everyone next semester. And if you see me around campus, definitely hit me up. And then Northeastern Northeastern have scholarships for international students. If how financial aid works, for international students. I will say I think Northeastern has a reputation of not actually giving that much financial aid to international students because, you know, a lot of internationals, yeah, so a lot of international students actually end up paying full price, and a lot of the kids who apply can afford that, so which is why that happens as well. Yeah, so we have a lot of rich international students on campus, but yeah, I do actually know of an international student who got really good aid though. So definitely, if you're need-based, um, you know, definitely look into that. And if they don't give you any aid or they don't give you enough aid, definitely appeal for more aid. I keep on pressing it because a lot of kids don't know that there is an appeal aid process. So definitely do that if you need more financial aid. And then okay, that's good. Thank you so much. Of course. Yay. Is 9K good to pay for Northeastern? Definitely. Before I appealed for more aid, I was actually expected to pretty much pay 10K every semester or every year. Yeah. Wait, no. Every year. Sorry. And so, but for me, I am a low income student, so I couldn't afford that actually. So I appealed for my aid and they found me pretty much about 10K more in federal aid. So I don't know if this is, I don't think it's bad to reveal this, but I pretty much only paid 2K a semester. And because I got into I'm an RA now for next semester, I probably won't be paying anything because RAs get the housing and meal plan covered. So yeah, definitely 9K isn't bad, but like I said, it depends if, no, definitely appeal for more aid if you can demonstrate that you need extra money. And for me, we just mentioned how my parents didn't work for like a month during COVID and things like that, and they found more federal aid for me. So definitely, it doesn't matter if they gave you a lot of money already. A lot of kids get full scholarships and full aid. So don't worry about it. Honestly, try to get as much money from Northeastern as you can because they will definitely do their best to not give as much as they can. So definitely appeal. It's not a stressful process. The worst thing that can happen is just that they say no. But it's not like they're going to rescind their application or anything. As long as you can afford it, 9K is pretty good for a year at Northeastern, definitely. Hi, I applied as a transfer student, and if I get in, I know housing isn't guaranteed. What apartments/areas should I look to live in? There's a lot of options, especially in Boston, just because even if you don't end up living in Boston specifically, because of public transport and because of the public transit system, some kids will actually live very much off campus. But like someone else mentioned, there's something called Lightview, which is one of the main off-campus housing that everyone chooses to do. I would definitely look into that. I put it up a little earlier in the chat, but I will put it back. I will type it in again, but there's a social media page called, or Instagram page called NEU Gigs, and people will offer up like leases and sublets of apartments that in the area that they're living in. I know a lot of kids who are trying to push out their Lakeview leases because they're going on co-op or they're home or whatever. So definitely check that out. They're still using the Instagram, but they actually made an app called Social Call. So you can also download that. And in general, even if you're not looking for housing, a lot of kids will it's actually mainly for offering up items. So kids will, give away things if they're moving out or they'll sell things. So yeah. And then do you have a cafe at Boston that you love? I heard about Tate. Okay, so I don't actually drink coffee, which is ironic because I work at Starbucks. But because of that, I'm not like super in love with any cafes in the area. There is a Starbucks in the area that I worked at on Massachusetts Ave. But in terms of drinks, I would say that Tate's is pretty good. They also have really good baked goods. There is a Cafe Bene, which they're Korean-based, so that's really cool. They have really good waffles, and they also have shaved ice, if you're familiar with that. And and then boba is pretty good. We have places like Kung Fu Tea, which I actually think is a little too Americanized now, so I don't actually love Kung Fu Tea. Oh my god! Oh, Bangkok Pinto. It's a restaurant, but they have Thai tea, and I love Thai tea. It's so good. And theirs is really good. So definitely, if you're into teas or like milk teas, definitely check Bangkok Pinto out. And of course, thank you guys so much for coming. I can see that a lot of you guys are leaving. So thank you so much for joining. I had such a fun time with you guys. I know it's 2:24, but I didn't think you guys would ask more questions. But if you guys want to ask questions until 2:30, I will stay until 2:30. So if anyone has more questions, if not, we can end this here. Is there a way to view this after you end? I don't know if I'll be editing this, but I will definitely upload it onto my YouTube just so that you can see what other people asked before this. And obviously this isn't the best quality live stream. So, I'm sorry if it's not a great quality on YouTube, but I will be uploading this. Yes, Peggy. If that's your name. Sorry, because I know YouTube, everyone has different names on YouTube. But yeah, so I will upload it. I might upload it late if I decide to edit some parts, just because if there's any space in between where I don't answer questions. But I think you guys actually asked a lot of questions, so I ended up answering them throughout the whole live. So thank you so much again. If you guys just got in and Alexa, hi. By the way, if you guys have any more questions, definitely check out my Instagram. It's the same name as my YouTube channel. It's at soolin.k. I have a lot of kids who ask me in the DMs about specific things. So if you guys ever have any more questions, I am so open to answering them through DMs. And if you guys got in and are on campus, because I think we are going fully in person next semester, definitely if you guys want to hit me up and hang out on campus, I'm definitely open to it as long as I have time. So definitely reach out if you'd like to ask more questions. Anything's cool with me. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. If you got in here late, I will be uploading this later on. So definitely, if you missed the questions, this is actually ending now. So if you guys have more questions though, I will be here until 2:30. So you have 4 more minutes to ask more questions if you just got in. But if, you asked all your questions, feel free to leave. This is pretty much the end. Thank you so much for joining. This made me so happy. I was so worried that nobody would ask questions or join. So definitely I will be uploading this on my YouTube if you did miss it though. And if you have any more questions, I will be here until 2:30. So yeah. You guys want to see my dog or Max? I have to unplug my microphone. So if the voice quality disappears, I'm sorry.